We have come from the cave to the village, to the city, to megalopolis, from tribal family to world consciousness. And half of all the human beings who have ever lived upon this planet are living now. In the acceleration of change, we are gathering tremendous momentum. Our interconnecting societies involve huge potentials of energy, vast numbers of people, enormous amounts of activity. The need for intelligent guidance is crucial. With the slightest misdirection of our social machine, the effects can be catastrophic. Our social institutions, schools, hospitals, governments, courts, all of the systems we have invented in past centuries to deal with human needs are collapsing under the weight of needs they were not designed to handle. And in the wake of this inadequacy follows suffering and wasted lives. Institutions can be redesigned and rebuilt, but only by the organized effort of people who will direct their energies toward identifying specific needs and toward developing specific improvements which can alleviate these needs. The American Association of University Women, with its organizational structure and its educated and skilled membership, can undertake projects of significant social consequence. In Pennsylvania, for instance, AAUW women are effectively attacking the problem of proper treatment and rehabilitation for women offenders. To find out the exact condition of their penal system for women prisoners, AAUW women in Pennsylvania devised and executed a sophisticated statewide survey. Volunteers abstracted county records to compile information on women imprisoned in the previous 2 years. They found that records are poorly kept and often do not even include whether a woman prisoner has children or not, or how the children are cared for during a mother's imprisonment. An important part of the study included interviews with those involved with the criminal justice system: prisoners, probation officers, judges, and wardens. Before conducting these interviews, volunteers participated in training sessions so that they would understand the significance of the questions they would ask and so that they would be able to deal with the various kinds of answers they would get. Mrs. Marjorie Villamises provided the leadership under which this study was professionally planned and carried out.
Well, are we trying to establish on this questionnaire whether the relationship between how women offenders are treated and how men offenders, or are we trying to establish whether all offenders are treated in a rather subhuman fashion?
On this questionnaire, of course, we're developing just the facts regarding the treatment of women and the facilities that are available to them in the county jails and the courts. Now, in writing up the report based on the facts that we developed in the questionnaire, we will be hopefully calling the public's attention to the need for asking this kind of question regarding men in county jails in Pennsylvania.
Warden, what is your greatest need regarding the treatment of women and juvenile girls in jail?
I feel that in order to provide more meaningful programs for the women offenders, that the State Bureau of Corrections should provide a regional facility for our area, perhaps to encompass 4 or 5 counties, because our daily population of our institution is 3 females, and there's not too much that you can do with programs for 3 offenders. However, if you had a regional facility where 3 or 4 counties contributed, you could provide more meaningful programs for these detentioners.
Data from the interviews and records were tabulated and computer processed. A report was then distributed to offices of the state government and to other service organizations. As a result, the Attorney General of Pennsylvania delegated a task force which prepared recommendations for reform. The recommendations were then presented to the Attorney General, and many were subsequently adopted. The Pennsylvania Task Force had learned that rehabilitation programs, which are supposed to exist, often do not. Instead, the woman prisoner spends her time in idleness, without counseling, without training. Official attention concentrates upon control and punishment. Most women are jailed on charges of disorderly conduct and similar minor offenses. These charges indicate social rather than criminal problems, yet all the women are treated as criminals. In Pennsylvania, the object of attention was the adult woman offender. In Delaware, the focus of study was children. Specifically, what services are provided for neglected and abused children? How are such children cared for? Where do they go? AAUW members have learned that public services for neglected children are limited and inadequate. The family courts have few facilities in which to place these children. In the facilities which do exist, overcrowding is a constant condition. Many unfortunate children are placed in juvenile detention homes because there is no other place for them. In detention homes, they are confronted with other children who are aggressive, hostile, and emotionally disturbed. They are locked in cells at night and are denied the right to attend public schools. They are sometimes physically hurt, they are usually frightened, and their experience of rejection is profound. The Delaware members of AAUW sought more financial aid for the state's homemaker service, which is severely hampered by lack of funds. This service provides a way of keeping children in their homes during emergency situations. The homemaker substitutes for a mother when she is ill or cannot take care of her children for some other imperative reason. About half the children removed from their homes because of neglect could stay in their own homes if more homemakers were available. Some children, especially the younger ones, can be placed in foster homes. AAUW members in Delaware undertook their own thorough study of state services and visited many foster homes during their investigation. They found most of these homes to be good, but there are not enough of them, and it is impossible to place the older dependent child and the teenager in foster homes. For the older child, a marked and welcome contrast to the detention home is a facility such as Boys' Home, where neglected and dependent children live in a relaxed, home-like setting with house parents instead of detention officers. The boys attend regular public schools and receive individual professional care. But the number of such facilities cannot even begin to meet the need for them. Waiting lists are very long, but the need for proper care is immediate. Acting as a catalyst, AAUW women in Delaware, under the leadership of Mrs. Herbert Coben, have followed up on their study by distributing their report and arranging conferences in which public service groups can be informed of the problems and can plan a course of action.
Another result of the conference that we held on the abused child in November of 1970 was the need to modernize the mandatory law for reporting child abuse cases. And there again, we went into action. An amendment to the mandatory law was drafted by State Prosecutor Richard R. Weir, Jr. and Judge Herbert L. Coben. This was introduced, it's appeared before the House, but is stalemated by a 2/3 vote. We have already heard from 26 states, from approximately 136 localities throughout the country. They have been sending in individual questions as to what's happening in their states, and they have been asking to purchase the study and to review our priorities so that they too can get the study started.
The family courts are in a quandary. They strive to keep families together. Yet when circumstances require that a child must receive care, or shelter, or protection, the courts are confronted with the question, where can children go? The Pennsylvania and Delaware projects are but two activities undertaken by AAUW members who have set about to make our world more humane, more just, more livable for us all. The projects were possible because members were willing to give their time and energy to a job that needed doing. Though the successes have been notable, each of these projects was seriously hampered by lack of money to buy supplies, to publish reports, to pay clerical help, to pay for postage and transportation. There are many more public service projects which AAUW state divisions want to undertake. The AAUW Educational Foundation provides the mechanism for making grants to state divisions for such projects. What is lacking is the money to underwrite these grants. Our social machinery must be attended to, surely and swiftly. Action by AAUW members is important. The need is all around us. The time is now.